I never get a break with you.
Well, you finally got it up.
Uh.
You said you were having trouble getting it up.
Really, Steve? Is this how we're going to start the show tonight?
Well, if we ever start to... Oh, we're live. Huh. Imagine that.
Your little joke.
Yeah, well, I try.
You do try.
I try. I fail.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
But I do try.
Happy Easter, Steve.
It's Easter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. It's another one of them, holidays.
I didn't have it. Well, no, I take it back. I did have some chocolate today, so I'm doing all right.
Getting good grades? Is the future so bright that you have to wear shades?
Yeah.
No. I'm sorry, Steve.
I thought mine was bad, but...
But that was a pile of shit?
Yeah, that was a pile of shit.
Yeah. All right, Steve. Are we ready to start this bag of horse shit?
Yep.
I think we are.
Steve Alcorn's a fine investigator.
Oh, fuck off.
This is the Fortean Slip with your host, Chris York.
I don't need porn, Chris. I have a good woman.
Listen, I have a good woman. I still watch porn.
Co-host, Steve Alcorn.
You are the top shit in Bigfootery if you get the invitation.
Oh, are you?
I've gotten the invitation 2 years in a row now, Chris.
Wow, not me.
And sometimes special guest, Matt Knapp.
It's part of growing older, maturing. Makes me more dignified and stuff. Okay, George Washington. I opted for the...
Is that what meth addicts say? That make me more dignified.
Taking on all things strange since 2013.
Wait a minute.
I don't know what the hell.
Are you saying that he's pregnant?
Possibly.
Was he implanted by one of these teenage aliens?
Did that happen to Arnold?
This device, which comes as part of Nintendo's Quality of Life initiative, is
going to have kids running around banging their heads off bricks.
Yeah.
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge.
Good evening and welcome to the Fortean Slip. This is episode 74, the Bunnyman Massacre Special.
Ooh.
Maybe. Maybe kinda. Maybe it's all just a Bunnyman Massacre. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah. Bunny men get massacred. Or do they do the massacring?
They do the massacre, Steve.
I have no idea.
Matt,
Yes, Chris.
happy Easter
Thank you, sir. Happy Easter to you and yours
as well.
as well, and also.
I got a new pet peeve, I think. And I think it's these people who say, I don't celebrate Easter because it's a stolen pagan holiday. Now, I think we all grew up with Easter as a holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I did. I'm pretty sure Matt did. Steve obviously did. And I think a vast majority of us did. And whether or not it's a stolen pagan holiday or whatever, it is a tradition that we grew up with. Right. Now, in hindsight, knowing the origins of it, does that change the fact that we have this tradition that we've done throughout our whole lives? No. But these people who I don't acknowledge that. That's not the true holiday. It just kind of, I don't know, drives me crazy. I don't know what you guys thought.
But aren't most Christian-based holidays, stolen pagan holidays?
I think for the most part.
Well, hold on just a cotton picking minute.
Oh, here we
Oh,
go.
I like what you did there. Cotton picking, cotton
Wow.
tail. I get it.
Easter is not a stolen pagan holiday. Easter is the Christian holiday. Now,
Okay.
there are pagan and other traditions that have been adapted to the Easter holiday season.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
Easter itself is flat out a Christian holiday.
I would.
Well, the story behind it, so on and so forth. I think what people are saying is like the whole egg thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's the part that's the stolen piece of the puzzle.
But who stole it really? Was it the Christians or was it the non-Christians that wanted to celebrate Easter, so they included that as well?
Well, I know in a lot of the cases, like
Which came first, the rabbit or the egg, Chris?
I don't know. I saw a pretty disturbing picture with a rabbit and some eggs today, though.
Yeah, but Jesus doesn't give out candy and stuff.
No.
So you gotta have the Easter bunny in there.
Right. You got to make it fun.
Right.
Well, and we know that when Christmas, the celebration of Yule was, kind of adapted into the whole Christmas tradition thing that happened. We know that they took some of those things to kind of like change people to Christian, to convert people, to make it easier for the whole conversion thing. So this stuff has happened. My problem is this whole I don't do that mentality.
Yeah, the holiday Scrooges.
Yeah, well, based on this idea that it's a stolen holiday, and even if it is, okay, so be it, whatever. Does that change the fact that I grew up with this holiday throughout my whole life, and my parents would get me my Easter basket for Easter Sunday morning, and that it was a tradition. We did it every year.
And did you guys go to church every week?
No.
Exactly.
We did.
My family didn't. I mean, I would, as far as I know of, my family are Christian believers. Does that make sense?
Right.
But like, as far as like churchgoers and living the lifestyle of a true Christian, which nobody does, but or striving to at least live that way. No, none of them were. Holidays, yeah, we celebrated all of them. Easter, hunted Easter eggs, got Easter baskets, barbecued outside because it was usually nice. The adults got wasted. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Traditional Easter celebration.
Yeah, a traditional Easter celebration. The religious aspect of it actually never came into play.
Yeah, very rarely in my family did it come into play.
Well, for us it did because, we did go to church every Sunday. Now, my family would love for me to go to church on Easter Sunday nowadays, and I tell them no, because I don't go to church normally. So it would be wrong for me to go just because it's Easter.
That's a good point, Steve. I'm glad you feel that way because, forgive me, dear Jesus, little baby Jesus upstairs.
Why does it always got to be little baby Jesus?
It's a reference that you don't get, Steve. Just let it go.
Just saying.
Okay, middle-aged bearded Jesus. Is that better? Dying on the cross, bleeding from his gaping wounds.
Well, that's better.
My better half was wanting to go to Easter services. And I was just like, no, there's no way. Like, we're not going to be those people that, pretend to be churchgoers on Easter and Christmas. She didn't even want to go on Christmas, so specifically Easter. I don't understand. And I know there's a lot of people that do it, and I'm not really talking trash. I just don't understand the thought process of, oh, well, it's Easter, so I'll go to church and not give a shit about it the rest of the year. Like, I don't think people should do that, but it's not up to me.
There's a lot of stuff like that happens, though, when it comes to religious beliefs and people, doing those things just on certain days or certain
Yes.
it happens a lot. And but like it's a newfound problem for me. Like this whole, people who like I don't know why it just set me off, but it did. Because I had said Happy Easter to somebody and they were like, I don't celebrate the Easter holiday. All right, man. Sorry. Jesus
Can't you
Christ,
just say like thanks and
Yeah.
move on? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, celebrate Easter, Christmas.
But you have to be so upset over something that was
Right.
quote unquote stolen ages ago that had nothing to do with you.
yeah,
Celebrate it however you like, or don't celebrate it at all.
right.
But don't tell me how to celebrate or not celebrate. That's I think what your point is. Sort of what your point is. They're upset that you said something,
Right.
because
And,
it's
I'm
Easter.
not saying, happy resurrection of Christ. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying happy fucking Easter. It's a holiday. I don't, when I say it, I'm saying it just to be kind. Like,
So
it's the holiday.
here's my question for those people who don't want to celebrate a holiday because it may or may not have been a stolen pagan holiday. If your job gives you the day off because it's a holiday, do you take that day off? Of course you fucking do.
Oh,
With
yeah.
pay.
With pay. Yeah.
And you don't complain and bitch about that.
And whenever they were a little kid, they were shoving chocolate bunnies in their mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it just seems asinine.
if you don't like, okay, like if you're a devout Christian or whatever, you choose like, okay, you're put off by the aspects of the Easter bunny and Easter eggs, because of like their sources in history, then just don't include that part in your celebration.
Right.
And vice versa. Like if you're not a Christian, but you still want to celebrate Easter, have at it. But like getting offended whenever somebody like wishes you a happy Easter or a Merry Christmas, that's what's like bothering me.
Yeah. And it definitely just kind of set me off in a weird way today. I was just like, really? Like, really? Like, you couldn't just be like, all right, hey, yeah, happy Easter to you too, and move on. Like, I didn't need to know, that was a sore fucking spot for you like that. And I don't understand why it needed to be a sore spot for anybody.
Maybe they lost somebody to a crucifixion.
Maybe. I thought those cracks
I'm
coming out
gonna
the
guess
window.
it's probably not the case. But,
Probably not the case, but I mean,
Yeah.
this happened to me many years. 1990. I could tell you the exact year because I was in college and I only went for 1 year. So it was Christmas and everybody was wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. And some dude, now I went to a Christian college. So some dude had a Santa Claus hat on, because oh yeah. So there was these two students who just went off on this guy, calling him Satan Claus and all this shit. And I'm like, and that's what changed my mind about how I celebrate things, is because if you got to be that defensive over something, then something's wrong with you. It's just a holiday. It
falls on both sides.
Yeah.
It's both sides are just equally as guilty of doing it to the other side. But the majority of holidays that we celebrate, other than Thanksgiving, and of course that's controversial as well. But like a lot of these holiday traditions that we have are for innocent children.
I'm going to tell you something right now. Whether you like it or not, I'm still taking the day off on Columbus Day. So fuck you.
Okay.
Wow.
And I'm going to say Happy Columbus Day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chill.
But I'm saying there was a time whenever there was a guy I know who was hosting a Christmas party at his home, and he was inviting his friends. And he invited a mutual friend of ours who had somewhat recently converted to Jehovah's Witness. And now this guy had a wife, and they had like a little boy who was like 5 or 6 years old. And the dude got pissed off and was like completely offended by the invite to the Christmas party. And the guy was like, look, you can
Just don't
think of it as a holiday party. You can think of it however you want. You don't have to bring a gift, but like, and the whole time, like, he's looking at that, but I'm looking at it from the angle of, man, that really sucks for that little boy.
Yeah.
Cause like, all the kids at school are getting presents and everything. You're like, my mommy and daddy don't get me presents. I just think that's kind of shitty, Why can't you just let the kids have it, if nothing else?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a fine line. I mean, I understand like having a certain set of beliefs. It does put a lot of strain on the kids. Yeah, I mean, they grow up with all these other kids who are, celebrating these things. I grew up with a lot of Jehovah's Witness kids in my school.
But like
I
at
saw a lot
school,
of it.
you're doing like Christmas projects and stuff, like cutting
Yeah.
out Christmas trees and stuff, making your parents ornaments, and like, I don't know, it just kind of sucks. I don't know why everybody just can't like
Yeah,
not
and
be offended by it.
and it is one of those weird like lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you want to okay, so this is what you decide to believe and live your life by, and you want to raise your children that way, which I don't subscribe to. Like I've never, I don't tell my kids what they need to believe and never have. Like I've always been of the school that that's their choice, not mine.
Right.
But there are people who believe that it is their choice and it is their right to raise their kids a certain way like that, and it steps on those personal boundaries, and it's just a vague, weird gray area. But I understand exactly what you're saying, like, because I ran into that too with the kids that I grew up with, and it was just like, wow, like they'd have to recuse themselves from shit that we would do.
Yeah. The first actual example of it I ever came across in life, like a real life example, was in middle school. The school I went to was doing something for the holidays, Christmas stuff. I don't remember what it was, but there was a couple of Jewish girls in my class who, like, parents threw a fit. They didn't have to come to class while we were working on that project. Like, they didn't have to do it, but they made like a huge deal out of it,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, okay, if you don't celebrate it, then just don't celebrate it.
right.
Yeah.
But like, you shouldn't, like, oh, nobody else should be celebrating it. Like that's the world we live in now, where if somebody can potentially or possibly be offended by something, they want everybody to stop doing it.
Yeah, and the thing is like those voices for some reason are really loud.
Yeah.
And because they're not, because if you look at it demographically, they're not the overwhelming majority.
Gosh, no.
No, but we don't want to infringe on their rights either.
It's, I just,
But like, whenever you're driving down the street and like you see a nativity scene out in front of a church or something, or in somebody's yard, and people will go and like destroy it or
Right.
vandalize it
right.
because they don't believe that way.
That's horseshit.
Yeah, but it happens.
That type of stuff is horseshit. But it is one of those weird areas because you want to respect everybody's own personal sovereignty and the way they want to live their lives. But then you have these situations where you have these kids who are all together, and some are growing up this way and some are growing up that way, and it gets really muddy. Like it's I don't know how you fix it. But I know that like this whole idea of, that, and it really kind of set me off, and that's kind of why I brought it up and went into it, because it just all day it's been kind of bugging me. Like, really, like that's your response? Like, fuck you.
But yeah, I saw a post today that kind of ticked me off. It was about Easter. It was just a meme, but it said something about like, like, yes, atheists celebrate, Easter the same way that, or Easter traditions the same way that Christians, have premarital sex and do drugs and drink alcohol. I'm like,
Wait,
really?
what?
That's
That's
the
how you-
direction we go in.
That's
Yeah.
how you celebrate Easter if you're an atheist?
No, they were saying that, like, yeah, atheists can participate in Easter, even though it's supposed to be a Christian holiday, apparently because Christians sin.
Because Christians
see.
participate in sin.
Participate in secular activities or whatever. And I'm just like, or we could have just not made that post at all and just enjoyed our fucking Easter eggs,
Yeah.
you know, ate our candy and
But
kept it to ourselves.
But again, it's that whole I've got to attack the other side mentality that we're at right now.
Right.
We can't have honest, discussions that are rational and, just it maybe bring people closer together. No. God forbid. Let's just brutally
just said
attack
God.
one another.
You just said God. That may
Steve.
offend somebody.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, a fine example that we're not going to go into the details of
Yeah.
was the conversation you and I had about politics.
Yeah.
And look, we're still friends and we're on opposite sides.
Yeah.
Not on everything,
No.
still. And like, yeah, there were points whenever the discussion got rather heated.
That happens.
But we have respect for one another and each other's opinions, and we can go on with our lives.
And at the end of the day, I didn't make a meme that said Matt has to fucking hang.
Right.
Like, I mean, but this whole attack the other side, and it happens everywhere. It happens with this atheism and Christianity or paganism and Christianity. In politics, like we were just talking about, it's this whole like attack the other side mentality to like with weapons almost like,
and in some cases with weapons, literally.
Yeah. Like I used to say about an ex-girlfriend of mine and myself that when we got into arguments, we fought with sharp edges. Not that we were physical, but like with words, like we just, and that's what it's like. There is no middle ground for a lot of these people. They don't want to find middle ground. They just want to fucking annihilate the other side. And
You got to be right.
yeah. And,
like the massacre that happened today in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
It's in the news. Easter massacre at churches, hotels, like lots of people lost their lives today over a brutal, attack over differences in beliefs.
Yeah. Stupidity. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it and you think about it rationally and all the way through, it is stupid. Like we can all have different beliefs and not want to have to kill each other or eliminate one another or separate ourselves. Like it's this whole separation thing, and it's kind of bothersome. Like why can't we just have honest and open discussions and just not have to get to that point? It baffles my mind at this point.
Because you come from a belief that nobody owes you anything and that you're not entitled to anything in this world.
Right.
But there's a lot of people out there, a lot of the complainers and screamers and the ones getting pissed off, and offended by everything, that feel entitled and feel that they're owed something.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. That's just, to me, it used to bother me. I mean, it still does, but at the same time, like, is this what our parents went through or our grandparents went through as time started changing and the belief system started changing? I mean, maybe this is just the way that the world's going. And, this time in 20 years, nobody will celebrate Christmas. Christmas will be banned. Easter will be banned. Maybe there won't be any holidays.
Or it'll be something totally different.
Right.
That they're pissed off about.
Or people will look back on this time and say, man, were we stupid? We can't predict that, but I think you're probably going the right direction where it'll be banned in like most public places and things like that.
Buy your books while you still can, folks.
Yeah, no shit. Fahrenheit 451. Fucking hell.
Great book, by the way. I read that one.
I haven't read the book, but the the recent HBO movie that they did with Michael Shannon and oh shit, I can't think of the kid's name. He was in Black Panther, played the villain. But it was really good. Anyway,
I read that book on my own, and it was an actual book.
you didn't listen to the audiobook?
No, I
Oh.
actually flipped through the pages, but this was back in the early 90s.
Back when you could still see.
Back when my eyes were still good enough to read.
Of course, he thought it was like a barbecue cookbook.
Yeah.
No, actually, I was really into that sort of thing. That was one of my favorite books of all time, actually.
Wow.
If you haven't read the book, you got to read the book, Chris.
I definitely do have to read it.
And then I did recently listen to it on audiobook as well. But
If you haven't checked out the movie that they just made, you should. It's excellent.
But I liked all that, like 1984, Fahrenheit 451, all that kind of that genre.
Yeah, but all that stuff was like science fiction written in a way to scare us.
But it's not science fiction.
And like, wow,
How a lot of it, and well, that's been true for a lot of science fiction though over the years, that it tends to predict the future of technology and the way things are headed. And some science fiction writers have been visionaries. Philip Dick talked about the internet when he wrote The Man in the High Castle, long before it was ever even there. It's amazing what these guys can see with their imagination. It's crazy.
Now, do we assume that they were visionaries, or that we've just made those things happen because now that we had that vision after they've said it?
Some of those things are possible.
Some people highly believe that different forms of art is inspired by some sort of universal intelligence or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that they're just the muse.
Yeah.
That they're just the vessel. I mean,
But I think even like when 1984 was written and when Fahrenheit 451 was written, the writing is on the wall. I mean, you can see how humans are even back in those times, and that's the logical course of things to come if we continue on the path that we're on.
And we did.
And we did. Right. And we did.
I'm sure at some point there was somebody, standing around and like, I'm telling you, that Hitler guy, you gotta watch him.
Oh, I'm sure there was.
But does that make him a prophet?
No.
Yeah, that's questionable. But yeah, and I mean, it's not that I'm a huge to get back to the Easter. It's not that I'm a huge, Easter fan. Like I don't do like the whole Easter dinner thing. I'm not a fan of ham, so I don't do that.
Why is it ham on Easter?
I don't know.
Why does each holiday have to have a special meat?
Well, it's supposed to be lamb, actually.
Yeah.
But I think lamb's too hard to get and too expensive.
Oh, that's it. Okay. So
But
ham,
so
ham sounds like lamb, so we just adopted that tradition. Okay, I got it.
and I've always, for a long time now, I've understood, that some of the symbolism that is around the holiday is its origins are based in pagan traditions. Yeah,
Sure.
and so be it. But that doesn't change the fact that it's a part of my life and my history, and I'm if it's Easter, I'm gonna be like, hey, happy Easter. I'm not doing anything for it. I mean, I'm posting stupid fucking memes with fucking xenomorph aliens and eggs and stupid shit all day. It's not like a huge holiday for me, but I just think that it's dickish if somebody's just trying to be nice to you.
I love the fact that my grandchildren get to go out and hunt Easter eggs and get Easter baskets and things like that. No, I don't give that to them. But we discussed that prior to the show. But but their parents, let them do that. And that's great. I'm happy. I could care less how they celebrate the holiday, just as long as they get a chance to take part in the tradition,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care where these things came from originally. If I want a frickin' Easter egg, I'm going to eat an Easter egg, or if I want some chocolate on Easter, I'm going to eat some chocolate or ham or whatever. But
Right.
it doesn't mean I'm one way or the other on it. I could care less.
Well,
It's
it's
just
also
celebrating tradition. That's it.
it's also possible, like if somebody were to ask, why you celebrate a holiday, you have your own personal belief and your own personal reason, but it doesn't have anything to do with like how we celebrate it. Like, does that make sense? Like, as a Christian, if a Christian wants to say they, celebrate Christmas, if somebody were to ask them, why do you celebrate? Well, because it's the birth of Christ. Okay, well, and this is how I celebrate it. I put up a fucking tree. I decorate it with lights and funny ornaments and bright, colorful things. And I spend all my money on presents for other people. Like, who cares how you celebrate it?
See,
Like,
when
what is it hurting?
when I was growing up, we were devout Christians, okay, but we still celebrated Christmas like everybody else. Was Santa Claus was part of it. The gift giving was part. All of that was part of it. My parents didn't say, "Well, we're devout Christians. We can't believe in Santa or can't do the Santa Claus thing."
Right.
And so that's where my beliefs and things came from. Is how I grew up. And I suppose if you grew up in a very strict household, it may be different. Strict Christian household. Now, I have some friends who would choose not to celebrate it with Santa Claus and on Easter, not the Easter Bunny and things like that. And that's perfectly all right if that's how they want to do it, just as long as they don't tell me how to do it.
Well, one of the things that they didn't have here whenever I was growing up, but they have now, Halloween. There's, of course, the big hoopla. I mean, if you want to talk about, stolen holidays, Halloween's right near the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of, religious people that do not celebrate Halloween.
Right.
At all. So now they've offered the alternative of a thing called trunk or treat at the local churches,
Mm-hmm.
where people decorate the trunks of their cars and fill them with candies or gifts or whatever for kids. And kids go there and go around the parking lot. Okay, so kids are dressing up in costumes and going from car to car and getting candy. Isn't that the same fucking thing?
Pretty much.
When I went to church as a kid, our church actually had a Halloween party. There was no, oh my God, this is a bad, evil holiday type thing. We actually had it. You could dress up as anything. I was Frankenstein one year. It didn't matter. It was just a fun thing.
Nobody was offended by it.
Nobody was offended.
It's just a holiday, have fun, enjoy it, or don't. It's up to you.
Yeah. But now they have these, like the churches around here have a thing on Halloween where you go to the church and there's candy and everything. It's not the trunk or treat that you guys do. The library does that here, but it's the same thing if you think about it. You're still celebrating the same holiday. You're just celebrating it a different way. But you're still getting candy. It's still the same thing. There's just no pumpkins and ghosts and things in the.
And once again, it's kind of a tradition that's built around the kids.
Yeah.
The kids having fun, the kids getting candy, getting to dress up, be scary. Like, kids like scaring the shit out of one another. Like,
I think we've lost sight of that. I think most holidays should be, nowadays anyway, should be geared towards children.
Children and family.
And family, yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's not enough family stuff going on. And that's one of the things that, like, oh man, I shouldn't even go there. I'm going there. I'm sorry, guys. It's easy.
Do it.
Chris, I have to commend you.
For what?
Because you're an exceptional father.
I agree.
I mean, you spend a shitload of amount of time with your son, doing things with him, hanging out on his level, doing things that he likes to do. Luckily, you both enjoy the same shit.
Yeah.
So that helps out a lot. But I'm saying, like, there's not enough of that in today's society. Because even if it's just the two of you, that's still doing something as a family,
Oh yeah.
And like, people have lost sight of that, I think.
No, I try I try to make sure that when him and I are doing stuff that it's, you know, and every once in a while I don't hit it out of the park. Like I'll be like, hey, let's do this, and it didn't go over so well. But for a majority, you know, it's just, and you're right. Like have these holidays are about spending time with your family and kids, and you know, I'd like to see more of that with people and not have it be so much about everything else. But you know, hey, it is what it is, and you know, I'm just not gonna uh, lose a chance to do these things with my kid. You know, before he
Right.
becomes an adult, and then he's like off doing his own thing. Like then you know, I won't have as much time to do it, or you know, it won't be as available anymore.
Well,
Well,
you
no.
know that, like, you know, my house is divided. You know, my wife has her kids from a previous marriage, and this weekend the kids went to their dad's,
Mhm.
and they had, you know, some sort of Easter meal. I think they went to church. I don't really know what they did, but they came home, and like immediately whenever they got here, her son left, went to go hang out with one of his friends for the rest of the day. Did not care about hanging out with the family. You know, he's turning 18, you know, so he's at that age now where like he doesn't give a shit about any of this.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
my son just turned 18, and he moved in with his sister, so he doesn't live here anymore. And it got really rough between me and him. And in fact, I missed a show, I think, a couple weeks ago when I told you guys I was doing family shit, because we were having some issues. And so we decided that it doesn't matter how old my son gets. We're going to spend one day a week together, even though he doesn't live here anymore. And that's the direction I have to take with him, because it's good for him, you know, and it's good for
both
me.
of you.
Yeah. So yesterday, and we didn't celebrate Easter today, and he knew that I was, because I don't do holidays that much. You know, Christmas is the only holiday I really celebrate. But so yesterday we went and played baseball for a while, and I took him to McDonald's, and that was our Easter, you know, and it made him feel good that Dad wanted to spend some time with him, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's it is, especially when your kids get older, teenage years and stuff. We kind of lose, and I lost a little bit of sight of that too. You know, Dad, can we go out and throw the ball? No, I don't want to do that today. I got stuff to do, that kind of thing. Even though I'm home all the time because I work from home. It's, you know.
Well, that's kind of the point I was trying to get at is maybe people, probably not, because, you know, they would be offended just because I would suggest listening to what I say. But like maybe people wouldn't get as offended if they would pay less attention to the origins of everything, all the details that don't really matter or concern us anymore, and just look at the big picture of why we actually do it. You know?
Yeah, for me, holidays is, if I do celebrate a holiday like Christmas, we have her entire side of the family over for Christmas. Do I like it? Not really, but it's important to do, because that's we get together 2 times a year. That's it. Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
and it's important to get together with family. And I'm sadly lacking on that side of things, because I don't do it with my own side of the family very often. In fact, I call my mom like once every 6 months. You know, and I should do more. I should do better with that stuff, and I don't.
It's hard. It's hard because we get into our modes.
Yeah, I get into a mode, man.
And our pattern. No, we get into our patterns of our life, and we just we don't have room for the other people. It's very hard.
And I think that's what holidays are all about, is not celebrating necessarily Jesus' resurrection today. Yeah, that's a big part of what today's about for a lot of people. But the more important, the bigger picture, like Matt says, is it's an excuse to spend time with your family.
It's the byproduct of what celebrating the holiday
is. Yeah,
happens. You know, like, because we celebrate this holiday, we end up with family and friends, and you know, everybody getting along for the most part, and being in the same room. And
I told you guys before the show, once my kids turned 18, I quit buying them Easter baskets and Christmas gifts and stuff like that. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe I should still do that stuff, you know, because they are my kids, you know?
Yeah, but they're always going to be your kids.
Yeah. But we can do things in other ways. Now, my kids call me and need something. They know I'm going to do my best to do it. We did have a big discussion about asking for money, but
So,
Yes.
Dad, I heard you've been doing well on Amazon.
Yeah.
well, my youngest thinks that because I make $5, I should give him $5, that kind of thing, And so
Oh.
that was a lot of part of the problem we were having a couple weeks ago. And I'm not afraid to talk about it, we weren't spending a lot of time together. He moved in with his sister so that he could, because he got a job over that way and stuff. And we just weren't spending time together. And his mind, I need to see my dad, so I'm going to ask him for something, that kind of thing. And it got really bad after a little bit of time. And I said, listen, I'm going to commit to 1 day a week with you. And we're going to spend as much time as you want and play baseball. We'll go to a movie. I took him to the batting cages last week, that kind of thing. And you know what? His whole attitude towards things turned completely around. And he's a whole different kid today than he was 2 or 3 weeks ago, because Dad, he got to spend the time with Dad.
Yeah, he got your attention.
Yeah, and it took a long time for me to realize. And in fact, it was my wife's idea hey, why don't you just spend a day a week with him, or 2 days a week, or whatever it takes. Even though he's not living here right now, you can go. What's he like to do? He likes to play baseball. So we go play, we throw the ball every weekend or something, so that's what we do. And I think that's the most important decision that we've made probably ever, is to understand what somebody needs and fulfill that need. That's it.
Yeah. So the next time you wish somebody a happy Easter and they get offended by it and smart off, just tell them to eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, instead of getting offended, celebrate it the way you want to, or don't celebrate it at all. And
Right,
if Chris says Happy Easter, if you don't like that, ignore the damn message.
I just don't understand why it has to become that whole thing. And I'm not trying to be, malicious or, fuck your beliefs. That's
Right.
not at all what I'm saying or doing. And it just kind of, like I said, it just kind of set me off for the day. But the other thing I wanted to talk about today, I pulled out of.
You pulled out?
Yeah, I pulled out. I pulled out of my ass.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah. Let me see if I can find it here, boys.
If you pulled out of your own ass, maybe you're the Sweetwater legend.
I could be.
There's a whole different kind of legend going on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's right here. Hold on. Restore. I back years ago, I had talked to Fred about doing a comic strip,
Right,
for the show, and we started doing this thing called the Fortean Strip, and we did a few of them, and whoa,
I ate the wrong egg.
Anyway, this one, I don't think this one ever saw the light of day.
Oh, that's awesome.
until now.
I want to say I never posted it as the comic strip. I may have. I didn't go back and look on the blog, but I came across it today, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's going on the blog." Fred and I did a bunch of these different things, like different little comic strips. I can't remember how many we did in all. It wasn't huge. We didn't do it for that long, but this one, I fucking love this image.
It's good.
It's just great. But the Bunnyman Massacre, which is the other thing I wanted to kind of go into tonight, which is the urban legend of that. This fucking cockamamie idea that this Bunnyman character came about, and it started from this bullshit story about an escape from an insane asylum. That's how the story the origins of it started. But that escape was all bullshit. Like, that whole story was bullshit. And then years later, there were a couple of instances of supposed instances of a guy in a bunny suit aggressively coming up to people. But the fact of the matter is the whole story of the Bunny Man is a crock of shit for the most part. I mean, maybe somebody did have a bunny suit on and did some crazy shit at one point, but the whole idea of it is just, it's bullshit, complete bullshit.
I think he prefers Rabbit Man.
Rabbit Man. Oh, I'm sorry.
Rabbit person. You can't assume gender anymore.
Hair dude. But anyway, I just got to thinking about those, those urban legends that you grow up with, the in your towns, not like the ones that you knew, like that are like, what's that, mirror one, the Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Everybody knows about that shit, but nobody knows about the urban legend of the haunted house on the corner.
Right.
Of Chicopee Road in Buxton, where I grew up.
Well, okay. So there's debate about this, but according to my own personal beliefs, the original Crybaby Bridge is in Oklahoma. But everybody has a Crybaby Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of those urban legends that's both local and national, possibly even global. I don't know. Maybe there's like the same thing in Asia somewhere.
And I touched on another one that I grew up with on one of the other shows we did, the Curse of the Saco River, which everybody heard of that.
Yeah.
The river's going to take 3 white people every year. And we grew up with that. Everybody heard about it. There wasn't a year that went by that I didn't hear somebody bring it up. And we grow up with these tales, and it's hilarious to me, like that some of them just become these huge things. Some of them are very rooted in fact.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, a lot of them are just horse shit. But, coming across this picture today, it just brought back all that stuff. And that was when I was totally into the whole Bunnyman thing. And I'd done the bedtime story for it.
It's a great picture, though. That shows it just shows the diversity of Fred Dunn right there. I mean, he's just an amazing artist.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. I mean, he can do anything.
Yeah. Props to Fred for everything that he does, and that his work that he's done for this show and for me, it just above and beyond. And Fred's great.
One of the first things that drew me to Fred's work was the dude does it old school.
Yeah.
He's not a computer artist. I mean, he sits down with pencil, pens, and inks and, paints and does it the old way. And that's awesome.
And he rocks it too.
Yeah.
Like he's got so many different styles. It's crazy what he can do. And he only gets better. The best thing about Fred is you can see his work get better.
His portraits, man.
Oh God,
are insane.
Oh yeah,
especially that one he did of Stan Lee still like just blows me away.
Yeah, absolutely. He's done some great stuff.
Did you see the thing he posted? Sorry, but like I saw this and I thought it was like so cool, where he made like snowflakes out of the Game of Thrones logo.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just posted recently on the Fortean Slip the blog. He did a Conan pencil drawing, and I loved it.
Wow.
So I was like, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, send me the image for that so I can crop it out and put it on the blog. And he sent it to me right away so I could throw it up. But yeah,
those Game of Thrones ones, man, he should turn those into coasters, like a coaster set, and sell them on Etsy.
Oh fuck yeah,
he'd make a killing.
Well, I know that Fred's doing very well for himself with commission work and everything now, and big shout out to Fred. We got nothing but love for him, and seeing him in the Fortean Slip T-shirt was the fucking best.
I tried to make the same face. I put a picture of me wearing a shirt on my Facebook, and I tried to make the same face I was doing on the shirt.
Yes,
and people thought I was legitimately angry about the shirt or something.
know.
So I had to post a close up, next to it of the shirt and explain to people, no, that's me on the shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know where my cowboy hat went to. I lost it.
You lost your cowboy
So,
hat?
yeah,
Dear God.
I don't know what happened.
How will we ever survive without you with your cowboy hat, Steve?
I don't know. It's been haunting me. Much like the legend of the Gudgeonville Bridge. Oh, wait, that's a local thing. Never mind.
Oh. No, I just thought it was an interesting thing that popped into my head. Like these things that you grow up with, that are legends in your local area. And then these other things that other people have that are local to them, but they're countrywide.
Right.
They just become huge.
Well,
Like
you were
Bunnyman.
talking about Crybaby Bridge, and I'm gonna guess that the legend of Gudgeonville is very similar to that. But instead of a baby, I'm assuming there was a baby, yeah?
Well, in the legend, yeah.
Yeah, in the legend. Instead of a baby, it's a donkey. But you could hear the donkey.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Little
Listen.
different.
The donkey's name was Gudgeonville, I think.
Do you know the legend of Lorna? I think is how you say it.
No.
The crying woman.
Oh, La Llorona?
Yeah.
La Llorona? I don't know.
Whatever it is.
Right.
Sorry if I offended anyone.
Yes.
But no, I mean that's basically what it is. Like a woman threw her baby off the bridge and it drowned. She's screaming, looking for it, or crying at the loss of her drowned baby, or something like that. Or some say it was, a woman was trying to escape an abusive husband and she ran off the bridge and the baby died. And it just involves like a bridge that you go to and at the stroke of midnight. That was the local legend. You go there at the stroke of the midnight and you pull out into the middle of the bridge and you turn your car off and you can hear the woman crying on the banks of the river and your car won't start.
That's the same exact legend except with a donkey.
Well,
no, the legend goes,
Steve.
The legend goes that the bridge spanned the Erie Extension Canal, so it was part of the Erie Canal system. If you're not familiar with the Erie Canal, go look it up because I ain't gonna explain it.
Very similar to the Panama Canal,
but on a different scale. So this bridge spanned that, and when they were building it, they used donkeys to haul the materials, and the guy beat the donkey to death in the area of that bridge, and that's why you can hear now. You can still hear it. Well, about I don't know, 20 years ago, somebody burnt the bridge down, so it was a covered bridge, but yeah. But anyway, you can allegedly still hear the donkey.
right? They've replaced the bridge here as well.
I actually had pieces of the Gudgeonville Bridge. I was gonna take little chunks of it and sell them.
Wow,
because it's such a popular legend around here.
This guy, he'll cash in on anything.
Anything.
Well, I happen to know the contractors that tore the bridge down after it, was burned. So anyway,
Unbelievable, Steve. But yeah, I when I dug that thing out, it just brought back like the whole Bunnyman urban legend and like the ideas of all these things that I grew up with, that I heard about all the time, and I was just like, wow, like everybody's got them in every town, everywhere, all across America.
Well, not just Crybaby Bridge. I mean, like, we had Redbud Valley here, and we had the legend of Red Eye. Redbud Valley was a place that you would go at night and you could see, demon dogs, and it was a place where Satan worshipers hung out. Like all this stuff. Because whenever we were younger, in the late 80s, devil worshiping was all the rage. That was
yes.
fear.
You gotta watch out for those devil worshippers.
I got to tell you real quick before you finish there, we had a lady come to our church and this was late 80s, early 90s, probably late 80s, and she was a former witch, I guess. And she was telling us about all the covens and all that stuff, and she was telling us about the local spot and the local legends, and so it was similar. I mean, every area has that similar story.
Yeah. And Matt's totally right. Like the whole craze of the black magic and Satanism in the 80s was crazy.
Yeah.
The late 80s, yeah. That stuff was it was brutally in your face too with people too back then.
Yeah, any
we're not-
teenager that was like playing Dungeons and
Yeah.
Dragons or listening to rock and roll music was considered dangerous.
Oh Jesus.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got ourselves a Commodore 64 back in those days, and it came with Pool of Radiance, which was a Dungeons and Dragons title.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time.
My parents did not know that it was a Dungeons and Dragons game, so we played the hell out of that game until the computer would freeze up and wouldn't let us save it. But
Because it was possessed.
well, yeah. But if my parents would have known that it was a Dungeons and Dragons game, holy hell, would I have been in trouble.
That would have been all over, huh, Steve?
We weren't even allowed to watch the frickin' Smurfs because there was witchcraft in it or whatever it was, spells and shit
Dear
like that.
God.
I mean, but that was big back in those days. I mean,
Yeah.
it was huge. I mean, if you were any sort of religious person at all, you were not allowed to do certain things, and that was one of them. And certain TV shows, and we couldn't even watch The Simpsons because it was degrading towards parents and all that stuff.
Oh, there was like, I remember the local news like doing stories on it. You know, because like once the craze spread, you know, the fear of it, then people started acting out, you know, and
then the media just goes with fear mongering.
right, you know, and you know, spray painting satanic symbols everywhere, and like people are finding, you know, mutilated animals and such.
But I think that goes back to the point that you made at the beginning of the show, where people want to put their values on a specific topic. In this case, it was Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s, and today with you, it was Easter. You know, so it's not a new thing at all. But it's, I think it's becoming more of an epidemic nowadays.
Yeah, and like the thing that happened to me, like I just think it was just a dick thing. Like the whole thing with like classifying people who play Dungeons and Dragons as, you know, devil worshippers. That was more of a stigma.
It was a bunch of nerds, basically, you know, playing a game. That's
Yeah,
all
but,
it was.
you know, but it made things hard for a lot of people.
Yeah,
Well,
lot of-
let's not forget. I mean, there were huge groups of people boycotting and picketing against Harry Potter whenever it came out.
sure.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, people have these strong, you know, beliefs, and they don't want. They're afraid. They get afraid that these things are going to trample on their beliefs, and I don't know why people just can't get along. I don't know, but it's just something that kind of set me off, and it totally took everything in a different direction than I wanted to for the show tonight. But I was just like, I couldn't let it go. Like it's one of those things where it's just like, no, fuck it.
Hey, it's
know.
your show.
Yeah, and it's just been, it was eating at me. I was like, fucking, why do you have to do that shit? Like, really? I was just trying to be nice and say hi and, you know, basically just, you know, happy Easter.
Yeah, so fuck off, Richard.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Richard.
Oh, well, fuck
But
off.
speaking of which, before we get into the news, oh, do we have a treat for you all? So I happened to do the Squatchable news podcast with Richard Allen and Phil Poling Saturdays. And last night after the show, I sent Matt the hangout for the link. Now, unbeknownst to you, Matt, before you came into the hangout, Richard had said to me, hey, you know who I'd really like to talk about Bigfoot with? Is Matt Knapp. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, because Matt's like really fucking knowledgeable. You know, he's fighting and he knows his shit. I think what?
Oh, do you think that Matt would bring himself down to that level, though? They're not in the same circles.
Do you know that I just like recently released a video confessing that I don't know anything about Bigfoot?
Okay, so be that as it may, Matt. So this is what he says to me before you come in to the hangout. And, you know, then you two, this was fucking classic, Steve. Matt and Richard start arguing about fucking video games. And I want to say we touched on movies, but video games mostly, and the fucking fervor and just the venom that came out of these two. I'm sitting here listening, just chuckling, and finally, like I said to the two of them, I'm like, "You two need to debate Bigfoot, like on the show. This needs to happen."
Well, the thing about me and Richard, whenever there's something that I don't know we're somewhat passionate about, if either one of us can be considered passionate about anything, our weapons of choice are the scalpel.
Oh yeah,
like
holy
I'm not
shit!
trying to bludgeon anybody. I'm going for like precision throat cut, and he does the same thing. So,
And it was so hilarious to hear the two of you back and forth, and yeah. So at some point we got to figure out a day. I don't know if we want to do it regular show night or if we'll do it a different night, but we're gonna have the great Bigfoot debate of 2019.
Well, you know how they like before a big prize fight, how they'll have like the two fighters like come and do the weigh in and
Right.
all that pre-show,
Right.
pre-fight meetup. I have agreed to come on the Squashable podcast in the next 2 weeks. Next week or the week after.
Well, we wouldn't want to do it on there. That's more.
Well, no, but if it happens, you might get to see a little skirmish before the main battle. Is all I'm saying.
Well, I don't think so on that show because Richard tends to be very, for the most part, straight laced. We try to add a little bit of humor into it and have a little fun, but it's mostly just the news.
Hey, I understand, and he invited me on there.
Yeah,
as a wild card.
Yeah, no, it'd be definitely fun to have you.
If I happen to jerk the rug out from underneath him while I'm on there, so be it. But yeah, no, I don't mind.
Game over here.
I don't mind, talking about Bigfoot with Richard on this show. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt said that.
You guys there too, right?
What's that?
I got you and Steve there too, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, but we're probably just gonna listen.
No, Matt said
Actually,
that
I came up with an idea.
You and I should come up with the debate topics, Steve.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that would make it fair.
Yeah.
It's Bigfoot. That's the debate topic.
Well,
that would make it fair because like I was
here. You want a good debate topic with Richard? Bigfoot in the UK.
Oh, well, me and Richard actually agree on that one.
that's when you're on the same page.
Oh, okay.
Big
throw a little Nick Redfern in there.
Redfern?
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming soon, the Great Bigfoot Debate of 2019, the U.S. versus the U.K. Should be interesting.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, Steve, you got any news for us this week, buddy?
Shoot. News, yes.
You know,
I'm ready.
Oh, okay.
There's hope for us yet.
Yes.
Pig brains partially revived 4 hours after the pig's death.
Zombie pigs?
Zombie pigs.
That's right.
BBC.com. I'm just thinking how I can use this for myself. U.S. scientists have partially revived pig brains. Well, because my brain needs reviving. That's where I was going. U.S. scientists have partially revived pig brains 4 hours after the animals were slaughtered. Oh, that's mean. The findings could fuel debates about the barrier between life and death and provide a new way of researching diseases like Alzheimer's. You know how you ever notice how they always throw some disease in there to make it sound legitimate? Yeah, we'll just use this to
We're going to
research
reanimate the
Alzheimer's.
dead, but we think it can help people.
Yeah. Dr. Frankenstein was just researching leprosy.
That's right.
The study showed the death of brain cells could be halted and that some connections in the brain were restored. However, there were no signals from the brain that would indicate awareness or consciousness. The surprise findings challenge the idea that the brain goes into an irreversible decline within minutes of the
what?
The blood supply being cut off. I recovered. How was it done? Well, 32 pigs' brains remains were collected after from an abattoir. What's
One
an
of them, yeah.
a slaughterhouse? I'm gonna guess.
One of them.
4 hours later, the organs were connected to a system made by the team at Yale University. It rhythmically pumped to mimic the pulse, a specifically designed liquid around the brain. Anyway, it carried synthetic blood to carry oxygen and drugs to slow or reverse the death of brain cells. The pig brains were given restorative cocktail for 6 hours.
Wow.
Did they have sweet dreams?
I don't know. The study published in the journal Nature showed a reduction in brain cell death, the restoration of blood vessels, and some brain activity. Researchers found working synapses, the connections between brain cells that allow them to communicate. The brains also showed a normal response to medication and used up the same amount of oxygen as a normal alive brain. This was all 10 hours after the pigs were decapitated. Nice. Yeah. We can revive pig
Decapitated
brains.
zombie pigs.
I know, right?
That's fairly safe. As long as you don't get too close.
That's right.
Well, you
The
don't
minute they
want,
bite you, you're fucked, man.
well, you don't want a dead pig running around.
Can you imagine if they had fully conscious awareness at that point where they revive them? Like, what the fuck, man?
You fucking cut my head off, you fucking asshole. That kind of thing, yes. IFL Science. I like this website. Something absolutely gigantic appears to be whistling in the Caribbean Sea. Is it Caribbean or Caribbean?
Who knows?
I think it's
Whichever
Caribbean.
you prefer, sir.
Yeah.
Caribbean. Okay.
There you go.
Scientists love a good mystery, and the oceans of the world, being massive, deep, dark, and inherently enigmatic places, are literally.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Good
know. I
job,
said
Dave.
enigmatic pretty well, didn't I? Are literally full of them. The latest conundrum, I even said that one right, comes courtesy of the Caribbean Sea, wherein a very low-pitched sound, one well beyond, I can't say beyond though, beyond the hearing range of humans can be heard. In fact, something down
What?
there.
Let's go over that last sentence.
Okay.
Well beyond the range of human hearing can be heard.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, something down there is so huge and mobile that it's generating waves in Earth's gravitational field. A team of researchers led by the University of Liverpool
Godzilla?
were in the middle of conducting an expedition to the Atlantic Ocean-based Caribbean Sea, which covers an area of a lot of miles, 1,063,000 square miles to be exact. Their original objective was to study the dynamic sea currents within the basin, which links to the Gulf Stream, critical for delivering heat, blah, 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 blah. Writing in the journal Geophysical, I don't like to read.
No.
What? It's my eyes, man. Writing in the journal Geophysical Research Letters, the authors describe how their instrumentation. Writing in the journal Geophysical Research Letters, the authors describe how they're. See, I think I read ahead, and my tongue says things that are ahead,
Sure.
and yeah, I think that's it.
Hmm.
I need a revived big brain.
And you
The
trip
authors
over
describe how their instruments,
Instrumentation.
yeah, picked up something they describe as a whistle. The note itself is an A flat, by the way. Something quite sizable is clearly making its presence known, but initially it was unclear what the noise was emanating from. It may be living, or maybe not.
Ah.
Yeah.
But it's big.
It's huge.
Ooh.
And it whistles.
And
And
it whistles.
A-flat.
An A flat.
And moves.
A lot.
Mm.
This one's from NBC News. Nice.
It must be true.
Alien megastructures may hold the key to making contact with extraterrestrials.
I think so.
Yeah. If you're trying to come up with the best game plan for proving the existence of extraterrestrials, you've got plenty of options. Naturally, you want a strategy with a high chance of success. Simply in the interest of time, money, and a shot at the Nobel Prize. For nearly 70 years, the scheme favored by most scientists have been to look for signals by radio transmission, or SETI. But is looking for signals really the best plan? Is it possible we're making the wrong bet? Probably. There's an attractive alternative searching for physical artifacts or alien structures. We're not talking about crop circles or other odd phenomena here on Earth. We're talking about massive engineering works that an advanced society has constructed somewhere in space.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was a different story. I saw a news article earlier this week that talked about using a giant laser to try.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've heard of that.
And I was like, well, what if they like lure in a giant cosmic cat that like swats the Earth across the galaxy or something?
Right.
That could happen.
Well, the reason we don't want to use lasers and radio transmissions is because it eliminates the requirement that aliens have chosen to get in touch. In other words, they don't have to transmit radio signals or laser beams. Sure, maybe they'd want to do that, but then again, maybe they'd rather lay low. If you're not sure you're the Milky Way's top dog society, you don't want to bet the farm by assuming that the alpha aliens, whether they might be, wherever they may be, have good intentions. Silence could have survival value.
The alpha aliens.
Oh yeah,
a bunch of frat guy aliens that are all drunk and pissed off, and beat their wives, like show up on Earth.
Just
Who's the fucking wise guy with the radio?
One big hazing experiment on Earth.
The article goes on to say something about Dyson spheres and that they may exist somewhere. I've seen those actually.
They're really good vacuums.
Vacuum cleaner. In the past, astronomers look for clues such as massive engineering projects by trawling star catalogs for systems that show an excess of infrared light produced by the warm backside of the panels. I don't know what panels they're talking about.
Smooth, warm backside.
Another approach is to comb through data from the European Space Agency's Gaia Space Telescope to find stars whose light is fainter than expected, simply because their shine is partially and constantly blocked by a bunch of panels. In other words, they put these panels up around their planet. So anyway, so look for big vacuum cleaners in space, and you might find some intelligent life.
Steve, if there's an alien megastructure, it's got to be ancient aliens. It's got to be.
Is that where the idea for the Dyson vacuum came from? Is this Dyson sphere thing?
Alien technology.
Yeah. They did that at Area 51, Steve.
Well, it would explain a lot. But anyway, that is the news.
Wow. Thank you.
Am I ever going to get out of reading the news?
Get out of it?
Yeah.
There have been many times we've skipped over the news.
Okay.
In the past. Have we not?
No, yeah, there's been times. Sure. I'm just
I remember
so good
a time
at it.
whenever a chupacabra hunter even subbed in for you.
Yeah.
I'm so good at it that I'm afraid that, certain newscasters, legitimate newscasters, will get jealous and try to exterminate me. Yeah.
Well, see, you said legitimate and newscaster. So,
well, there was a meme. Is that how you say it? Meme?
Sure.
Or is it meme? Meme.
Don't ever do that.
There was one of those. There was one of those today about Walter Cronkite, and it was saying how he just read the news, and that was it. He didn't make an opinion and all that. And I'm like, man, that is the best one I've seen, the best meme I've seen. He just read the fucking news.
That's the best one you've seen?
Because ever? It's the truth.
Listen, I saw one of the fucking Easter bunny behind a girl in lingerie, and it said, I think it was Jennifer Love Hewitt, and it said, I know what you did last Easter. That today was the best one today, Steve.
Well, I'm talking about legitimate, real stuff. You're talking about funny, made-up crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve. To each his own, Steve.
Hey, did you know
early 2000s Jennifer Love Hewitt or modern day Jennifer Love?
Hey, she's aged well, Matt.
She has.
She's aged well.
But she has aged.
She's aged, but she's aged well. I'm not kicking her out of bed for eating crackers. So
I might even share them with her.
But yeah, on that note, this has been the Fortean Slip, episode 74, the Bunnyman Massacre Special. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Check out Matt Knapp at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads and Cryptid Tales. Check out Richard Allen's blog. The link is below the YouTube video. And check out Bigfootin' with Keith and Colin on Facebook. That's his comic strip. Check out Parabreakdown at youtube.com/Parabreakdown. And as always, check out our good friend Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. We will bring you the great Bigfoot debate of 2019 at some point, and we will be back next week with another episode. See ya!